Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. And in this video, I'm going to be replacing the oil pump seal on a Honda ES6500. So this generator, as you can tell, has been heavily taken apart in order to replace the oil pump seals, which there are two of them. This is a little O-ring seal here. Here's the part number. And then we have this seal here that goes on the back of the housing. And here's that part number here. The biggest problem to change those seals, when they start leaking, and they will leak eventually, the only way to get access to them is removing where the power head is, removing everything including the end bell, and then this is where that seal is located. It's not easy to get to. And I took off the power head here, took off the end bell housing, got the stator, the rotor, and the end bell on the other side as well towards the end of the generator. Very heavy stuff, and the biggest problem that I had was getting this rotor off because this machine is from 1989, and only now is it needing this kind of service. Now I do apologize, I was not able to film the disassembly of this machine because one, I've never taken one apart before, and in the sense of time, I really wanted to at least get it apart because when you are changing one thing because you have an oil leak, there could be other problems too. Thus, I took it apart to this level to make sure that everything is okay. And it just looks to be that that seal is all that is leaking. It doesn't leak after it starts to warm up, of course, but that's because the seal is worn out. The seals get brittle and then they start to leak, especially when they're cold. He had a pool of oil on the bottom of this machine when it was sitting for a while. So obviously we need to go and replace it. This is the same engine that's in the Honda 4514 and I believe the 3813s, just a slightly different configuration. It's got a timing belt and a water pump, and thankfully the timing belt and the water pump you can easily get access to on this machine without having to take apart all the front implements on those tractors, for example. But the water pump is in really good shape. This is the original timing belt from 1989 and it is in immaculate condition. And this is the gentleman where a squirrel as much as farts where he lives, and the power goes out for days on end. So he does use this machine quite a lot, but he's very, very, very diligent. And I'm serious when I say this, diligent about the maintenance, changing the oil. And I will be doing all that maintenance as well. Oil change, oil filter, all that good stuff, just to keep up with his maintenance schedule. But this was obviously something beyond his skill set in order to remove the power head and the wiring and to get access to that seal. And I'm also going to be replacing the petcock valve because unfortunately this is a non-serviceable one. The seals inside are leaking. It's leaking out of the barrel here, and it is also leaking on the bottom. Now I could replace that bottom seal, but I can't replace the seals inside because it is riveted. Brand new, or new old stock I should say, from boats.net, this and from many other parts dealers, this particular part is $72 and change plus tax. I was flabbergasted for a petcock valve how expensive that was, and maybe it's just the form factor because this is actually a mount and then you have your input and output here. I do have to replace those fuel lines anyway because they are brittle and hard, and I had asked the gentleman if he wanted to just replace it. I'm just using this to hold the fuel in place for right now, just for a standard, fuel petcock valve like this. And he said, no, I'm okay with, paying the money for the original. And I said, okay, but wow, that is some serious coin for this particular petcock valve. This is the part number that I am referring to, and we have ourselves a new petcock valve that we're going to go ahead and install. Finally, the other part that we have to replace is this end bearing. I have the new bearing here, which I don't know if I'll be able to show. I can. There is the part number for that. It's making some noise, and we're going to have to press that off and put the new one on. Well, it looks like I got a decent amount of work to put this thing back together and get it running to its tip-top shape again. This is not the only video I expect to be doing of this machine because I know at some point the water pump and the timing belt will have to be changed. I don't know when, but the good thing is that it's right here on the side of the machine unobstructed by anything, and I will not have to take the machine apart to this extent in order to replace it. But that'll be for a future video. If you're interested to see how I replace these particular parts, then you can check out my Honda 3813 and 4514 videos. This is essentially the same exact motor. Now that we have a good scope of what we need to do to repair this machine, I'm going to start off by removing that old seal. Alright, so I was able to get the old gasket out of there, and it's pretty stiff. In fact, it's starting to crack here as I start to bend it, which basically indicates to me that the seal needs to be changed. That's the oil pump itself. I made a real mess. I had to clean that up. But you could see the oil pump drive gear there, and I have it pretty much cleaned up. We'll move over to the bench. And we're got the housing here. We're going to put that new gasket on there. Now, you can see here that we have an O-ring that I forgot to get for parts, but thankfully it is an R9 size, and that's the old one right here. So I'll just go ahead and replace that. I'm going to clean this up, get rid of all the excess oil. We'll put the new gasket on and get this installed. I'm going to show a few pictures in this segment. As you can see that I did have to go and press off the bearing on the end of the rotor here. The one that was on there was very noisy, so I just swapped that out since I already had it apart. And before I even put the electrical end on, I did fill up the engine crankcase with oil, and then I let it sit overnight just to make sure there was no leaks or anything like that. I even went ahead and cranked the engine to get the oil into the oil filter and into all the passages, just so that if there was going to be a leak, that I can address it before I put the power head and all the wiring back together. And I was already running really far behind on this project to get it back to the customer. He really needs it. It is a mission critical, and I unfortunately was not able to film everything. I do apologize for that, but thankfully the machine is back up and running. It works great. And I was able to take some load testing video and also some total harmonic distortion measurements, which this particular generator isn't very clean, but considering how long this has been running and how well it runs for being a 2-cylinder liquid cooled, it just, impresses me again with the Honda equipment from this era. They're just simply built to last. Here's the next segment for the testing, and hope you enjoy the video. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Well, here's the load setup. I have the amp probe plugged in. I'm going to set this to THD. It's out of range at the moment. Auto idle's on, and we have a 3,000 watt load. Go ahead and turn on. Here it goes. Actually, let's turn off the auto idle. Sitting at about 5% THD without a load. Such a smooth running machine. And the 3,000 watt load. And it jumps up to 21.2% THD. Voltage is steady at 123 on one leg. And we're at 59.8 hertz. Turn it off just to see what it has for an unloaded speed. So about 61.8, 62. Put the 3,000 watt load back on. Now let's just go all the way up to 5,000. This is about a 6,000 watt generator here, so we're pretty close to full load, and it's not having any problems at all. I did go and place that there. Very nice. All right, everyone, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel and our business. I do apologize again. I wasn't able to get all of the filming for the repair and also the disassembly and reassembly. But if there's any specific questions that you have on this machine, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to help out. Till the next video and project, thanks again. Take care.